Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Hotspur live stream here on Stateside Footy. And boy, oh boy, have we have a banger today as Spurs travel up to Old Trafford to take on Manchester United. And of course, this isn't, your Ruben Amorim's Manchester United. Michael Carrick has this team absolutely on a roll. Very good results, since he's stepped into the long-term interim role there for United. On the flip side, Tottenham Hotspur are coming into this one unbeaten in their last four, 2 wins in the Champions League, 2 draws in the Premier League, and so from that standpoint, I think a lot of people might say that Spurs have kind of found something in recent weeks, certainly in the Champions League. The opponents, or maybe just the confidence with that squad, allowed them to get over in the Premier League. Maybe it's a little bit different. That being said, I think last week against Manchester City, you probably saw the best and the worst of what this team is capable of bringing on a week-to-week basis. And so from that standpoint, man, this is going to be a difficult task. Let's go ahead and get into the lineups, and we'll start, of course, with Tottenham Hotspur lining up in a 3-4-2-1 as it looks like. And, of course, Guillermo Vicario will be in net for Spurs, and I don't think that's going to change. Unless an injury happens, I would probably assume that Vicario is going to be the number one match in and match out. The back three is going to be João Palhinha off the right side, which is kind of an interesting selection. Considering we do have Radu Dragusin, and of course Radu last week, second half at least, played pretty well. Natural position is the right side of a back three, but João Palhinha will step into that one. Christian Romero wearing the captain's armband, and I think that's no surprise, even with the comments that were made. And of course, Mickey van de Ven back in the starting 11 for Spurs off the left side of that back three. And of course, both of these guys are absolute musts. And especially in a game like this, on the road in a hostile environment, you're going to need your 2 best players, especially your 2 best defenders. And it certainly seems to be that case. The midfield 4 wing backs on the right-hand side, it's going to be Archie Gray. And, of course, we saw Archie Gray last week step into this role. He's not exactly, unfamiliar with the right back position. But this one's going to be a little bit different. And, of course, Archie is going to be tasked with keeping the width. If that is actually going to be his role, then from that standpoint, we're probably going to need some production through the middle of the park. But that being said, as it stands right now, Archie Gray is on the right side. On the left side, it's Destiny Udogie, and I don't think we really need to talk much to this point about Destiny Udogie and what he brings. He brings pace, he brings size, he brings strength on the left-hand side, and from time to time, he delivers a good ball in. But that being said, it's going to be a monumental task considering that he's going up against a low on the right-hand side of the back four for United. The midfield pairing is Conor Gallagher and Pape Sarr. And the reason why it was kind of intriguing that Palhinha was put on the back three is because you probably would assume that, considering you're going up against Bruno Fernandes, you probably would want your midfield pairing to be as strong as possible. On the flip side, considering that Archie Gray is playing on the right, there's probably going to be a need to actually move the ball through the midfield portions. And Pape Sarr is one of those guys that are going to be able to keep possession in the link-up. And so from that standpoint, you probably, maybe you're not surprised that Pape Sarr is in the lineup today. Underneath as two underneath attacking 10s on the right-hand side will be Wilson Odobert. On the left-hand side is Xavi Simons. And, of course, Xavi had himself a half in the second half against Manchester City, and it looks like slowly he's kind of developing into the player that we bought. And, of course, up top is going to be Dominic Solanke coming off a match where he had a second-half brace. And Dominic Solanke has completely changed this attacking setup since coming back. And, of course, when you look at the way that Thomas Frank likes his how his strikers like to operate, you're going to have to be able to make a deep touch. You're going to have to be able to hold the ball up when we're playing it long, and Dominic Solanke is definitely that guy. For Manchester United, as we take a look at this real quick, there it is. They're lining up in a 4-2-3-1, and of course, Lamens will be in net for them. Their back four consists of Shaw, Martinez, Maguire, and Delo. The midfield double pivot is Kobe Mainu and Casemiro. The midfield three, I guess you can say, is going to be Matías Cunha on the left-hand side. Ahmed is going to be on the right with Bruno Fernandes playing underneath as the guy who's going to be pulling the strings for United. And of course, up top will be Brian and Bemo. Not exactly your characteristic 10, but that being said, Benjamin Sesko is going to be coming off the bench for United. For Spurs, their bench, by the way, let's see. Their bench consists of, Antonin Kiski, Junine Byfield, Radu Dragusin, Souza, the young Brazilian we got in January, Callum Olasesi, Luca Williams-Barrett, Yves Bissouma, Matisse Tell, and Randall Kolo Muani. And so from that standpoint, that's probably one of the weakest aspects of Spurs, is the fact that we have 4 youngsters on the bench, and it doesn't necessarily leave much opportunity for second half switches if the need kind of runs into it. So it's going to be quite interesting to see how this one plays out. Before we get into it, let's just go ahead and make sure you guys do me a really big solid and make sure you hit that like and subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on the upcoming Stateside Footy content. And of course, in the house right now are 316 of you, not to mention those that are tuning in on TikTok Live. By the way, if that's the case, the link is going to be in the description. So if you want to head over to YouTube, you're more than welcome to show your boy some love. If not, enjoy the TikTok Live. All right. The interesting thing with this, and of course, we are about five-ish minutes prior to kickoff. That's one of the biggest things is hard to read this Spurs team. It really is, because yes, in a sense, yes, we're unbeaten in our last 4, 2 in the Champions League, 2 draws in the Premier League, but it's a complete difference between night and day. In the Champions League, we actually play and attack with confidence, and I think a lot of that has to do with the talent level in which we are playing versus the Premier League, where the difference between the top half of the Premier League and the bottom half of the Premier League is very small. The margin for error is very small. And from that standpoint, we do not come into games with the confidence that we do in the Champions League. It's one thing to play against a team like Eintracht Frankfurt versus a team like Manchester United. And I just have the feeling that, Thomas Frank is looking at this like he's pretty much looked like like he does with every team in the Premier League. He gives them a little bit too much respect. And from that, we end up starting off the back foot. We're reacting to what our opponents are doing instead of actually working our gameplay, which would allow us to, get forward with a little bit more ease, playing a little bit free, but also playing with a little bit more confidence and a little bit more happiness that, we would take advantage of certain attacking sequences in the first half where we might be able to nick a goal. Instead, it's just not that. We're far more pragmatic. We're far more conservative. And as we saw against Manchester City at home, we essentially chalked off the first 45 minutes, and we were down to going into the half before changes were made. And it just so happened to coincide with Pep Guardiola taking his foot off the gas, which allowed us to get into it. So it's really kind of hard to get a read on what Tottenham Hotspur team is going to be showing up. Hopefully lessons were learned in Manchester versus Manchester City. That is the hope. And we're going to finally see a complete 90 from this team. But chances are pretty good we won't. And this is going to be a very interesting contest. Again, the team that's in form is Manchester United. Let's not kid ourselves. And unfortunately, I've had the prediction that I had was 3-1 United. I'm going to stick with that. I'm in the situation where I have to believe it to see it. I'm not like, I would love to be proven wrong, and I would love to be a happy clapper and come on here and just gush about this football team, but it's hard for me to do that just considering the form is. But we are almost ready to kick off, and there it is. There's the opening kick as Xavi Simons will be playing it back to Vicario, who will boost this thing a little bit more centrally. as Solanke goes up to try to make a head, and that falls to Lamens. Spurs are playing from right to left, as United will be playing the opposite direction, and now they're playing in the holding the possession as that ball will get played back, and immediately that gets flicked back up to Brian Mbemo, and here's Bruno Fernandes now, and he's got space to operate. Here's Bruno, lays it off. There's the shot, and that flies over the crossbar. And the first opportunity comes 40 seconds in as Brian Mbemo looks like Brian Mbemo was the one to make that touch and play it over the bar. But right off the bat, Manchester United is attacking with gusto there. So not exactly the most ideal. The last thing you want to do is cough up possession in that portion of the field on a 1v1 long ball and have it come down to a guy like Bruno Fernandes. But Spurs now have possession as they will play from outside the back, and Van de Ven will play this one long. And looks like that'll touch down to Maguire. Here comes Manchester United now will hold possession. As it looks like it's going to be played between Maguire and Martinez. And it will be Maguire who's under pressure here. Here's Delot. And they're trying to play out of pressure. Spurs do a very good job as that ball will go out as they were looking for Casemiro right there. But Spurs will try to play it forward. And after all that brouhaha, it looks like Manchester United will come down with possession as Manu will play it forward. Here's Mbemo. And Mbemo now is going to play one to the far side, and there's Vicario. And again, Manchester United is not wasting any time. They are taking it right to it, and Spurs are trying to slow it down a little bit here as that ball gets played back to Romero. And here's Conor Gallagher. As that ball will make its way to Destiny Udogie. Udogie is going to try to play one forward, and there is just nobody there as he was hoping Dominic Solanke would make a run. And it looks like it will be Lamens now who will hold possession for United. Not a bad opportunity right there for Spurs as they were trying to at least play that ball in, as that ball will crash the entire length of the pitch, and Vicario now will hold possession. And now they're going to play again, and it's going to be Romero who's going to try to play one forward up the right-hand side. And Lamens will get on that one, but there's an interception. And it looks like there'll be a whistle. And it looks like it was Luke Shaw. That was the guilty party as Conor Gallagher was coming up past the halfway line. It was the one that made the interception. 100%. That actually probably should be a yellow when you really think about it. Yeah. Got him right on the foot. And that's exactly what Conor Gallagher is currently talking to the ref about, whether or not that should have been a card. As we are pushing 4 minutes into the first half. Spurs will have a free kick from a dangerous area. It'll be Xavi Simons to play it in here as we're waiting for the whistle. Xavi, obviously, with Pedro Porro out, is responsible for the free kicks here. As that ball will get played in, back post, and that'll get out. I believe this will be, looks like it's a Manchester United throw-in, so it did ricochet off a Spurs attacker there. And it'll be Delot responsible for the throw-in for United. As that ball will get played forward. Headed down. As it finds its way back. Here's Delot trying to play it through. Spurs do a very good job. Nearly taking the ball away. As now this will play it all the way to the left to Luke Shaw. As now that will go all the way back to Delot off the right-hand side, trying to play it forward. Does. As Ahmed now will play it forward. Great slide tackle right there. But Manchester United still comes away as Bruno Fernandes now will try to play it in. 1v1 between him and Brian Mbeumo. And now United will try to swing it around. Here's Ahmed now off the right-hand side. And he'll lay this one back. And now that ball will swing back to Menu as he will lay this one off. Oh, there's a good ball in. But right there, it looked like it was João Palhinha to clear that ball. And so United will have to reset here at the halfway line. As that ball is going to go into a central area, and it's Bruno Fernandes trying to hold it up, and Spurs take it away. As Spurs looked like they were going to try to immediately play it forward. That's a good little give and go right here. Here's Destiny Udogie with space, tries to play it forward as Solanke comes after it. And now he retreats to the right-hand side, and that ball is taken away. And Manchester United will hold possession. I do excuse you. It was actually on the left-hand side. There's Harry Maguire. And we'll go back to Martinez here. And it looks like Ahmed is kind of walking gingerly there. So we'll keep an eye on that for Manchester United. As Martinez now will try to move the ball forward a little bit. Now he's going to make the switch to the left-hand side. Here's Luke Shaw. As that ball will go back to Maguire. And that's a good ball forward. Here's Brian Mbeumo trying to turn. Played it up, and that ball will immediately go back to Luke Shaw. And Spurs now will try to press. Good ball forward. Taken away. And immediately it's tipped away as Brian Mbeumo will hit the turf. Gunshot wound to the knee. The flopping is ridiculous. As Romero just, Romero just had the inside shoulder and just, clipped his knee. Wasn't anything serious as he's, back up and playing again. I guess that gunshot wound wasn't as serious as we thought. That flopping is ridiculous. United will hold possession here as that's played forward and immediately played back to Maguire. As Meno will hit Casemiro, who's immediately going to play it in. Too heavy of a touch right there, it looks like, for Mbeumo. Spurs now will have the possession as that ball gets played back to Vicario. And here's Palhinha trying to play it forward. And they do. So it's essentially that's just a clearance ball right there. And Spurs will concede possession yet again. So as we're pushing 10 minutes, it really kind of has been all Manchester United when it comes to possession, which, shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone. As that ball will find Delo now on the right-hand side, trying to play it forward to Ahmed. He finds him. That's good. That's good defending right there, but it does go out, and it'll be, I think, a Manchester United free kick as Mickey Van de Ven did a phenomenal job right there off the touchline. And I think they're going to whistle a foul here. I don't know, man. That looked like good defending to me. Regardless, play has resumed as the ball will end up on Maguire's foot. Here's Ahmed now off the right-hand side. And now Delo will make that switch. Here's Menu. Nice pass right there. And there's a deflection off a shot. Looks like it was Casemiro that got on the win, but there's another shot. And that thing was duffed. I think that might have been Bruno Fernandes that absolutely duffed that shot. United will still hold it in. Heavy touch by Mbeumo, but he holds possession. as Casemiro will take a shot from distance. That's a good save by Vicario right there. But Manchester United will continue to hold possession, but now there's a whistle. As Guillermo Vicario, with a very good save against Casemiro right there, seemed like it was point blank. So, yeah, Vicario very much should have been able to handle that. Not exactly, it didn't exactly have the curve that Casemiro was looking for. Good opportunity there for United. Good save right there for Vicario. As the free kick by Vicario will launch it down the right-hand side. It does fall to Spurs here in possession. And now Romero will try to work it off the left-hand side to Van de Ven. As Udogie will play it back to Van de Ven as Spurs continue to march backwards. Here's Vicario. That was nearly taken away. That was actually a bad pass right there by Vicario. Spurs are fortunate to retain possession here. Van de Ven will now work it into the middle. As they will play this one out to the right, it's Wilson Odobert. Odobert trying to cut in. Good layoff right here to Xavi. Xavi's going to try to play one in. And he does. Ooh. And Gallagher was absolutely right there. As we see this one again, Xavi puts a very good ball in, finds Conor Gallagher at the near post. Gallagher made a nice little tap, but right there was Lamens. Very good run right there by Conor Gallagher. That was nearly 1-0 Spurs. As Vicario will play this one back to Udogie. As that ball will go out. Good defending right there by Ahmed. This is now a Manchester United throw-in, and they're trying to act quickly here. Good first opportunity for Spurs on the attacking end. Good interior run from Conor Gallagher. And that's something that I've been absolutely screaming for the last 4 months. Somebody that is just going to, be a little bit brave and make an internal run. Spurs come away with possession. And I can't hold it. Manchester United will dribble forward. And there's a deflection. Spurs will come away from it. Good defense from United, but Spurs will able to hold possession here. As that ball gets played back to Vicario, and Spurs will reset. Here's Van de Ven. As Papsar trying to hold on to this ball. Now it's Udogie. And Udogie will just dribble forward. He's got space, plays it inside. Xavi will dink it up to Solanke. Here we go. Off the right-hand side. Odobert forward. Back to Odobert. There's a shot that gets deflected. And it looked like Udogie put one on. That one gets deflected, and that goes all the way back. Turns out it was Papsar. Xavi now is going to make the switch. Here's Wilson Odobert. Good switch, by the way. As that finds its way all the way back to Romero. So, again, Spurs will try to reset at the halfway line. Here's VDV. Dumps it down to Udogie. Here's Xavi. And there's nowhere to go. As VDV will play it back to Xavi. And now it's Udogie. 1v1 as he pushes up the left-hand side. Cuts. And he'll lay this back. And it's Papsar. That ball's going to go in. And that's immediately going to be deflected out. So it looks like this will be a Spurs throw-in, as it was Harry Maguire who did a good job right there with the deflection. As in the build-up, Spurs just have a tendency to look like they have no idea what to do. On occasion, they'll have a run of brilliance. On the counterattack, it's something completely different. Sometimes Spurs look very excellent in the counter. But in the build-up, they're easy to set up against. As that ball will make its way up the right-hand side as Wilson Odobert does a very good job of heading it down to Solanke. That ball pops out. There's a cross. Drops to Xavi. Tries to make a shot. It's defended very well. Papsar now will play it out to Udogie off the left. Udogie's trying to play one in. He does. Finds Solanke, but that ball is going to escape as Solanke was hounded. But here's Mbemo now. And Polina does a good job against Mbemo on the quick counter right there. As we see that again, Udogie did a very good job of getting that ball in. It takes a deflection to Solanke. Defended incredibly well against Martinez right there. So Manchester United now will hold possession. As Manu was trying to play it forward, that ball is intercepted. Here comes Spurs now. Counter-attacking opportunity. Here's Xavi Simons. And Xavi's going to have to turn. And that ball gets out as Udogie had to play catch-up. So again, Spurs waste another counter-attacking opportunity. Didn't have the numbers forward. As there's Michael Carrick. New Manchester United interim boss. As they will play this forward. Spurs are doing a really good job in 1v1 defending as they pull that ball away. As we are damn near the 17th minute here in the first half. As Spurs try to work this down the right-hand side. As Spurs have grown into it, so have their possession. One really good-looking chance on an internal run right there by Conor Gallagher. Outside of that, Spurs have had a difficult time in the build-up as that ball is going to go out left. Finds Destiny Udogie. Immediately, it looks like Delo closes it down. And they're going to blow a whistle against Delo right there. Didn't necessarily see the foul, but it is what it is. Spurs will hold possession here. Here's Polina. And it'll go left to Van de Ven. Udogie back to Van de Ven. United is doing a good job here. That's a good pass. That's a good pass forward. That's a good little give and go right there. There's a ball in. And it looks like that's going to take a deflection as United will hold it. It looks like there's potentially a whistle. And it is. Yeah, this looks like it'll be a United free kick here. As Lamens will be responsible for this free kick here. This ball's most likely going to get played forward into a central area. He went down the left. Spurs do a good job of taking the ball right back as Vicario will come out to collect this. And immediately it goes to Van de Ven, who's got some space down the left-hand side. As Romero plays it right back to Van de Ven, and now it'll find Vicario again. As this time that ball will go up the right-hand side, take a bounce, and go out of bounds. So with United having the throw in here, both teams, yeah, I would say in the last 10 minutes, yes, Spurs have done a very good job in possession. Not so good in the attack. Manchester United really hasn't had the opportunity. Spurs have actually done a very good job defensively, keeping them out of the central areas of their side of the pitch. As of right now, Manchester United has kind of been held to the wings. But here we go. Here's Delo now, trying to play it in the middle. There's a shot. Oh, as Cunha got on the end of it. As Spurs fell asleep right there, allowing Delo just to march right down the middle of the pitch. down the right-hand side. He played it over to Cunha, and Cunha put a fantastic ball on. It just goes wide. What a shot right there by Cunha. He just missed it. Spurs are fortunate. Here's Van de Ven. Good pass forward to Udoshi. He's got space. And he nearly tripped, but holds his feet. Here's Xavi. As that ball gets played back to Van de Ven. As that's a good ball forward. As they're going to, whistle one against Solanke? Okay. Fair, I guess. I didn't see a foul there, but all right. As play is restarted, here's Delo on the right-hand side. Plays a good ball forward. Oh, that's a good ball. As they're going to give and go right through the central areas. That's a good pass forward, but right there was Romero. Cut off the passing lane. And Vicario has no choice but to play it forward. As that ball will sail over the head of Maguire and Solanke. I will say Maguire so far has done a very good job on Solanke. Those two have gotten into a few physical moments where it looked like Maguire currently has the better of them. But here's United now. As it'll be Martinez. And it'll play it over to Lowe, who's going to have to chip this one over. Good little tip on by Bruno Fernandes to Mbemo. Mbemo will track it. Here's Ahmed. He's got the overlap. Ooh. And Bruno Fernandes almost scores as that one goes wide left as that ball gets delivered into a central area in the box. Unmarked was Bruno Fernandes. And he just missed it. And again, lucky that Spurs didn't get scored on because Vicario, again, was out of position. But as we come into the 23rd minute, Manchester United has had 4 different opportunities to score a goal here. Spurs with really only one. As that switch didn't necessarily work out all that well for Spurs, but it does go out and Spurs will have to throw in off the right-hand touchline. As Mbemo, Cunha, and Fernandes all had very good looks at the net and weren't able to cash in. I think Mbemo had it twice. Spurs, the realistically the only chance we had is when Conor Gallagher made that nice run. Here's Udoji now up the left-hand side, being tracked, looks like by Dallo. No, Ahmed. There's a ball in. It's going to take a deflection. Here's Papsar. Xavi's going to go to dribble into a central area, try to play one in. And there's nobody there as that ball will go out, and this will be a goal kick. I don't know who Xavi was looking. Maybe there was a late run from the right-hand side. Wilson Odegaard, just nobody was there. And again, Spurs can't seem to unlock that attacking third. As looks like Lamens will play this long. As that falls. And it's Van de Ven. That ball gets deflected forward to Mbemo. As that'll go all the way back to Luke Shaw. Now United will reset. Here's Delo on the right-hand side. Goes forward to Manu. And Spurs will try to press. And United will play it back to Lamens. And start the sequence all over again. as we have passed the 25-minute mark here in the first half. Still a 0-0 game, but certainly Manchester United has had the better scoring opportunities, and it feels like United is knocking on the door here. Spurs, to their credit, have looked somewhat decent defensively, but here come United now. Here's Bruno, who's got space. Bruno plays it in. It looks like Romero tried to clear, but it comes down to Manu, and again, it falls to Brandon Mbemo. And Mbemo will fall. Fernandez tried to play it. It gets deflected. And Spurs will come away from it. It's Papsar. And that'll go out, and Spurs will retain possession here. As that ball fell into Cunha. And Papsar came in and got his leg in between at the edge of the box. At the very least, that should have been a free kick on the outside of the box for United right there. That did look like a foul. Spurs get away with one. Cunha has the right to be pissed. As that ball will fall forward and get out past the end line. And Solanke was looking for a foul as that ball gets played long. And I think this is going to be a goal kick for United. It certainly is, as they're going to play out of the back, and Lamens gets pressed. And finally, that ball will go forward, looking for Cunha, and they found it. Destiny Udogie was there. And there's the yellow card. Both team has 1 shots on goal. Total shots, United 7, Spurs 5. And yeah, that Destiny Udogie looks like he pulled down Ahmed pretty good right there. And yeah, that's going to be a yellow. I would say that Manchester United is closer. It feels like they're knocking on the door. That's a good ball forward. Good defense right there in the box by Spurs. And it looks like Odegaard has done a very good job defensively to keep that ball from being a United corner. Yeah, Odegaard did a good job. Last touch by Cunha. So this will be a goal kick as Spurs will play out of the back, as Van de Ven now, his only out is Udogie, and now he'll play it long. Does have Solanke. It looks like Martinez got the better of him on that one. And Manchester United will come away with the ball as Delo now will play it as he finds Harry Maguire. As Maguire will play it forward, he does have a runner. And it looked like Van de Ven did a good job defensively, and Spurs come away with it. As that ball's rattling, and there's a whistle right there. And it looked like it came back down to Kobe Manu. But there's a red. As Casemiro is down. Oh, dear. As we see this again, Romero came in. Ooh. Yeah, spikes were a little high. I think he was just late to get to the ball, but yeah. Oh, boy. And Romero has just been given a straight red here in the 29.5 minute. And Romero gets sent off, and Spurs will be playing the rest of this one down a man. So if things were bad for Romero, they've just gone down to worse. As Romero gets sent off. Oh, boy. As looks like Thomas Frank is shouting at Romero to come off the pitch. Oh, dear. And now Spurs will play the rest of this one down. Unbelievable. No, it's actually quite believable, really. As Romero, after popping off at the executive board after the transfer window closed, expressing his opinion, then he goes and gets himself sent off. And by the way, the second time, that was the second time he popped off in 3 weeks on his Instagram. Under pressure and get sent off. And now all of a sudden Spurs are going to have to make a change, and it looks like Radu Dragason's coming in. As they're going to have to make a tactical switch here. As Wilson Odebear has to come off now. And this thing is this. I mean, now the degree of difficulty coming into this one was already high, and now all of a sudden Spurs have to play the rest of this match down a man. And Manchester United will have the free kick from a dangerous area. It'll be Bruno Fernandes taking this free kick from about 30 yards off the right-hand side. Inexcusable, as that ball will go in. As that gets headed back down, and Manchester United will hold possession here. But there is a whistle. As down on the deck looks like Luke Shaw and Conor Gallagher. And it looks like potentially their two heads collided. No, it was actually Ahmed and Gallagher. Nope, Mainu. So two heads collide as that ball did find Bruno Fernandes. But that being said, it looks like Luke Shaw is getting looked at as well too. But as we welcome Carl Slim Blue, aka Audio Artisan, into the chat, I would agree that this will be interesting. Very inexcusable conduct from Christian Romero. Totally unsurprising, by the way. It's just you're in a situation where, being the captain, there's certain things that you absolutely have to keep your head with. And losing your head on Casemiro, getting yourself sent off, putting your team behind the 8 ball now. Yeah. Unnecessary, as it looks like Gallagher will come off, and it looks like he'll probably be off for about 10 seconds. Play is going to resume as Spurs continue to deal with chaos. Carlson Blue says, can't wait to see Romero's next social media post. It'll be about them fighting. That's what it'll be. As this ball will play its way back down the right-hand side, as Ahmed will play it back to Delo. There's a ball that's in the box, headed away. Looked like potentially VDV, but here's Mbemo now off the right-hand side, playing 1-2s with Cunha. There's a good ball in. Here's Bruno. Here's Casemiro. Trying to find Delo. Not exactly the greatest pass, but it forces Delo to have to retreat as Xavi was trailing him. So now United will reset here. As Maguire will play one forward. That's a good touch. Here's Mbemo. As Mainu now. We'll swing it to Casemiro. Back to Manu. That's a good ball in. Nice touch. Played it forward. And that'll find the end line. So this will be a Spurs goal kick. As that ball came in. Nice little 1-2 right there. Between what Casemiro and Manu right there. No, excuse me, Cunha. Let's see. Romero shouldn't be in the team when we play a team with Brazilians in it. He loses his mind. I'll say this for Romero. He's incredibly passionate. As after the restart, Manchester United will come away with it. As Spurs pretty much have conceded the midfield now. As they're essentially defending in a 4-4-1. As this one won't be completely impossible because Spurs are going to retain their defensive shape. They're going to have to pick and choose when they get forward. There's a ball that's going to take a deflection. Ooh, and Fernandes nearly scored again. As we see it, that ball went in. It was left off and it founds Bruno, but stepping up is Van de Ven with the deflection. And it sails wide to the right. So this will be United's first corner. And of course, the numerical advantage just in the setup here. Goes to United. Fernandes has his arm raised. That ball will go short. Finds him, Bemo. And there's the goal. Yep. Way to play that. As they kept Bemo at the top of the 18-yard box. Spurs bit. And United take the lead 1-0. Yeah, you saw that one coming a mile away. As they brought somebody out, that was just such a good design set piece right there. As Vicario was caught flat-footed. And United will take the 1-0 lead. So United draw first blood. You knew it was coming. So Spurs have an opportunity to come back in this one as they concede the first one in the 38th minute. We'll see if they have that heart and fight like they showed against City in that second half. We'll see if dreams do come true. Spurs can keep their unbeaten streak alive. I thought Sarr and Xavi were like, yeah, I agree. Yeah, that red card kind of took the wind out of their sails. But that also kind of shows you what this team is kind of made of. As that ball is going to get played up the left-hand side. And Bemo now will try to play it back. But now this ball, as that ball was taken away in the midfield, and it looked like Casemiro was trying to play it off to Ahmed on the right. That ball was absolutely nowhere near Ahmed. And United squander a counter-attacking opportunity right here. As Spurs will hold possession. As looks like Udogie nearly coughed up the ball. That's a good tap away right there. Here's Ahmed. There's a ball that's in, and that's going to get cleared away by João Palhinha. Good defense by João Palhinha. But again, United now can just get forward. That was a good play right there between Ahmed and Fernandes. Played it in because it looked like that might have been Matías Cunha. right there, running down through the central part of the box. And it feels like Spurs have completely come unglued here. And now United have another opportunity at the corner. So this will be Brian and Bemo from the side. As that ball gets whipped in, it'll go short to the near post. As that play gets played back out to Mbemo. And that'll find the back post. And Vicario will come up with a very good save against Casemiro. As Solanke got ahead on it, but it finds Casemiro. And Vicario is right there to tip that over the crossbar. So Manchester United, again, will have another set piece. As we are approaching the 41st minute here in the first half. Oh. Xavi did a really good job. Good job right there. Excuse me. And it looks like Martinez is going to get whistled right there against Destiny Udogie. Spurs dodge a bullet again, and will come away with the possession. As it looks like Spurs will go into the half trailing by 1. Still very much in it. They just need to regroup and reset as that ball will go forward. And Vicario will come up with it. And immediately will play it out left to Udogie. As Udogie stops for some reason instead of playing forward, and now is blanketed by Mbemo. But there's the turn. And that ball's taken away in the midfield. And then it kicks back out left off a deflection. Now all of a sudden Spurs get forward. Here's Xavi. And Mbemo does a good job. And now Manchester United will come away with possession. And it looks like Martinez is going to carry this ball forward. Here's Bruno. And it's Menu. As that'll swing all the way to the right. Here's Ahmed. 1v2 into the box. That ball is going to take a deflection. And it'll get out again. And it was Pastore, this time putting it out. And you can see the frustration on the face of Pastore. I think I would have put Polina in center back and left Radu on the draft. I think Polina was already in a center back position. So this will be, I think United's fourth corner in the last 5 minutes. As Mbemo will take it again. As this one is on the right-hand side, as that ball will go in back post and head it away. As again, Casemiro came crashing in to Vicario. And that was definitely, I think last out right there was off of Polina. And they're going to say, no, goal kick. Okay. Fair. As we are pushing close to the end of the first half, United lead 1-0 here. As Vicario's goal kick will sail off the head of, looks like it might have been Casemiro right there. As that finds Pastore, who tries to dink it over to Udogie. And there's going to be, looks like there's going to be a yellow card there against United as Xavi. Yep. Xavi was taken down. This one looks like it's going to go against Ahmed right here. As he came in just a little too tough, actually under the knee of Xavi Simons. That's actually kind of a scary play right there. Cruciates end up getting snapped knee to knee. Looks like Xavi's going to be all right, as that ball's going to go forward. And that will get out. That Spurs waste a free kick. Yet again, trying to play the ball forward. As Spurs fans show their frustration. The traveling supporters that essentially sacrifice their weekend to follow their favorite team. And this is the first half display that we get. Awesome. Awesome. As United will cross the midway line. As Shaw now will play it back. As Casemiro now will try to play one in. Oh, good ball. Oh, as Vicario came out and made a great tackle. And it looked like it was Cunha that made that run. As that ball gets played long, searching for Dominic Solanke, but it finds Lamens. And now Lamens will play this long. Good. By the way, man, that was such a good save right there from Vicario, as it was actually Ahmed that made that run. As Spurs will have to reset here after the restart. As Vicario now will play this one long. As that'll take a deflection, but there's Conor Gallagher, who's going to try to put one forward to Xavi. There's the deflection. Here's Solanke. That ball went too far right. But Solanke will hold possession here. And now there's a Hail Mary, essentially a Hail Mary cross into the box, and there was nobody there. 5 minutes of added extra time at the end of the first half. Oh. As the turn of events here in the first half, as Christian Romero gets sent off, has completely changed the trajectory of the way Spurs were going to play. And now this is essentially going to be the next 45 as well, too. Essentially being bunkered. Picking and choosing the spots in which you're going to get forward. And if that's the case, Spurs are going to have to be essentially on point every time they try to move forward. And that's a good deflection. Here comes Spurs now with the right-hand side. As that ball will get played back. As Polina now will move it to Papsar. Here's Xavi, who's going to play it back to Polina. Archie Gray is out wide right. Here's Gray. As Papsar now is going to make the switch. Has Udogie. Udogie's 1v2. And that ball's going to take a deflection out. And it looks like that was Casemiro that came over to bust up that play. As Spurs will play it in. Here's Pap. Here's Gray. And that's going to get played all the way back. As Solanke did get to that long ball. Touch was played back, but United will control possession here. As we are approaching 49.5 minutes towards the end of the 5 minutes of added extra time. United do lead 1-0 off a beautiful set-piece goal by Brandon Bemo. As Maguire nearly lost that pass. And it looks like Ahmed came back to make that touch to play it back to Lamens. and United will reset here. And that will be the end of the first half. As Brian Mbeumo scored off a set piece in the 38th minute, and that's exactly where we sit at the half. Of course, 10 minutes earlier, Christian Romero gets sent off with a play coming in on Casemiro with spikes high, and that's all she wrote for the Spurs in the first half. Any type of momentum, any type of continuity was gone at that stage, and it's unfortunate too. As we look at the halftime stats for this one, there we go. As Manchester United leads the possession battle 58-42, they also lead the XG battle 0.71 to 0.38. Total shots, United 10, Spurs 5. Shots on target, United 3, Spurs 1. Both had one big chance and both missed their big chance. Accurate passes, United 243, Spurs 165. Fouls committed, United 7, Spurs 5. And of course, United dominate the corner battle 4-0. XG, really, when you look into it, in open play, not exactly that big of a differential, as XG from open play for United is 0.41. Spurs is 0.38. Spurs have yet to actually have a set piece, and so United dominates that one as well too. Going a little bit inside when it comes to shots, block shots both are drawn even at 4. Shots inside the box, United 4, Spurs 3. Shots outside the box, 6-2 to United. So they're following the game plan of how you actually play against Spurs. Just considering that Vicario is not exactly the greatest when it comes to the outside shot. Total passes, United 271, Spurs 196. Passes in the own half, United 105, Spurs 87. Opposition half 138, Spurs 78. Accurate long balls, Spurs do lead this one 13-8. Accurate crosses 3-0 Spurs. Both are even on throws. Touches in the opposition box 13-10 United. Both were offsides once. Discipline, 2 yellow cards apiece, 1 for Spurs, 1 for United. And of course, Romero took the straight red and got sent off. From the defensive side of things, tackles are all even at 8. Interceptions are all even on 2, and blocks are all even at 4. Clearances, Spurs 14, United 7, and keeper saves 2-1 Spurs. The duel battle is even at 22. Ground duels, Spurs 18, United 17. Aerial duels 5-4 United, and successful dribbles 4-3 United. And so from that standpoint, even when Romero got sent off, it looks like Spurs have done a good job of kind of limiting the damage. Yes, they gave up a goal on a beautiful design set piece, but outside of that, Spurs have actually limited the damage a little bit. But I will say that again, whether or not there's going to be a halftime switch, maybe. That being said, the only two real pieces that are actually on the Spurs bench is Matisse Tell and Randall Kolo-Muani. And so the question is are you going to potentially lift another midfielder for attacker? I highly doubt it. So from that standpoint, I would probably assume that what we saw at the end of the first half will come out in the second half. Carl Slim Blue goes on to say Udogie got booked, so we'll probably have to come off at some point. Who plays at left back? Well, the interesting thing though, right? So it's a left wing back position, right? So is this something where maybe you bring Tell on? I don't, maybe switch the formation where it's like what, 3-4-2 maybe? I don't know. All right, let's take a look around the Premier League. In the early portions today, Leeds United, actually this was yesterday, Leeds United beats Forest 3-1 as Jayden Bogle, Noah Okafor, and Dominic Calvin-Lewin all scored for Leeds, and Lorenzo Luco scored for Forest, and that was absolutely a massive 3 points for Leeds, because as it stands right now, Tottenham right now are sitting on 29 points with Leeds and Crystal Palace. And so if Spurs aren't able to at least salvage a draw in this one, this does not look good. The only saving grace is the fact that Forest lost. So they're sitting in 17th place on 26 points. So, I mean, there's only a 3-point differential. And so this game is absolutely massive for Spurs to try to get back into it. The last thing you want to do is drop. And from the rest of the matches, Fulham will host Everton a little bit later today. Burnley hosts West Ham. Arsenal will host Sunderland. And Wolves will host Chelsea. Bournemouth later today will host Villa. Newcastle will host Brentford. And Brighton will host Crystal Palace, which is the M23 derby. And if Crystal Palace ends up winning today as well too, and then Spurs will drop into a battle for 15th place. Liverpool also tomorrow at least will host Man City. That's going to be an absolute doozy. But man, it doesn't look good. It doesn't necessarily look good. Ahead of Spurs right now is Brighton and Bournemouth, and of course, that one Brighton Crystal Palace has huge ramifications for Spurs as well too. But that being said, if this team can get on a run, let's understand that they're only 5 points clear of the top 10. So, as I welcome my buddy Martin Knightbridge. So, what's going on, Mr. MK? Greatest name in YouTube right now, Martin Knightsbridge. It says, not going too well. Let's hope the second half turns in our favor. Quick question, Martin. How did you take that Romero red card, by the way? Because me personally, it didn't come as a surprise whatsoever. You were kind of wondering if Romero was on edge at any point, considering everything that's happened. It wasn't necessarily that big of a surprise that he took that straight red. Carlson Blue says, I guess Radu will be starting now with Romero banned for 3 games. Byfield will surely get some minutes as well too. That's a good point. You probably might see Byfield, but yeah, that's the thing. It's like, I guess that's the question, right? Is Romero trying to play his way out of the is he trying to play his way out of the starting 11? Because he's certainly doing a very good job, and maybe that is the that is I guess the plan, except, that's the thing. It's like, as a player, it's understandable if you don't like your coach. Totally understand it. I've been in those situations before as well too, where I played for guys that, couldn't coach their way out of a box. Weren't exactly great leaders of men. But that being said, as a player, you still have a job to do. That is your job. It's just like working any other job, and I'm sure you guys can all agree that you've had some shitty bosses. But that being said, it's still your responsibility to make sure that job gets done. And at that point, it becomes an issue of pride. Stand up for yourself a little bit and play. The biggest thing about this is when you do something like this, it has an adverse effect on your reputation, because you are willing to sacrifice your teammates for your own personal grudge, which means now all of a sudden a valuable 3 points potentially goes out the window. That's the downside. And say what you will about Romero. When he made that statement on Instagram, it wasn't the statement that I didn't care for, because actually everything he said was 100% true. That wasn't the problem. My problem was the way he did it. Popping off on Instagram instead of going to the people that you absolutely need to talk to. That was my problem. Me personally, I think it's kind of a chicken shit move, to be honest with you. At that point, you're no different than any other keyboard warrior. If you got a problem with somebody, take it to the person that you have a problem with, and maybe you actually might find a resolution. And if promises were made to Romero that weren't upheld, yeah, okay, I understand. That's definitely frustrating. But what you don't do is you don't take him to task on Instagram. you keep it in house. You get a little bit more respect. You get a little bit more respect by actually doing the honorable thing and actually having a conversation with the people that you're upset with. Not this way, and then coming out the very next opportunity in a game and getting sent off. And by the way, if this leads to an exit with Romero, me personally, I would be upset with it because I rate Romero and I think he's one of the best center backs in Europe. But at least we have Luka Vuskovic coming through. And that kid's going to be special. Let's see. They just said that's his 6th red card for Spurs. Ridiculous. He's not giving us Sergio Ramos levels to justify that many red cards. Yeah. Oh, dude. That's a lot of red cards, man. Again, like I appreciate the passion. I really do. And I know that he plays hard and he cares about the badge. We all know this. But he also switches off from time to time. Sometimes he gets caught out of position and it leads to goals, or he'll take a red card that, totally screws over the team. And this is one of those times. And it's unfortunate too. And I've been on record by saying that the center back pairing of Romero and Van de Ven, the talent ceiling is so high that it's better than Alderweireld and Vertonghen for as good as they were. But what I will say is the difference between him and a guy like Mickey Van de Ven is disciplined. That's the difference. It is a discipline issue with Christian Romero that rubs me the wrong way. And then all of a sudden, you're popping off on social media, which opens the door for more questions about whether or not Thomas Frank can actually control his troops. And I think, and I don't think he actually can control it. Just out of curiosity, before we're waiting for the start of the second half, I'm curious about the championship. Look at Hull City sitting at 54 points. Good Lord. The top of the championship, it looks like Coventry is starting to slip a little bit as Middlesbrough Middlesbrough's on a roll right there. They're level on points at 58. Ipswich and Hull are only 4 points back. And look at Wrexham sitting at number 6 right now. Speaking of which, yesterday Carlton drew 0-0 with QPR. Today, Norwich City and Blackburn are level at the half 0-0. Southampton, Watford 0-0 at the half, and Ipswich is up 1-0 on Derby. Wrexham plays Millwall, hosts Millwall a little bit today. That's going to be fun. I don't know how you guys feel, man, but I absolutely love the championship. I really do. It's no VAR. You get multiple styles of football, and I don't know, man. It's just it's a fun and exciting league to watch. I've been secretly glued to the championship this year, and of course, there's a couple of U.S. players in there that are worth watching. But yeah, it's a part of my weekend, man. I'll be the first one to admit I watch a lot of football. But generally speaking, it's funny. I watch a lot of the championship and I watch a lot of the Scottish Prem as well too. I'm kind of like, silently addicted to the Scottish Premier League. That's a fun league as well too, even though the talent level is not even nearly comparable everywhere else. But yeah, I do. I watch a lot of the Scottish Prem, a lot of Spanish football as well too. But yeah, as we're getting started for the second half, I would like you guys to do me a favor and hit the like and subscribe buttons and hit the notification bell as well too. If you like what you're hearing, man, hook your boy up and head over to YouTube. If you guys are watching on X, if you guys are watching on TikTok Live, the link is in the description. You can head over to YouTube, hit that like and subscribe button. As we have rounded 400 and we're pushing our way till 5, the plan for this one is to round 5 at the end of the season. so we can really take off during World Cup 2026. And of course, this is your home for World Cup football as well too. Not just the U.S. men's national team, but also the English national team, the Scottish national team, and Lord willing, the Irish national team as well too. So we will see exactly how that plays out with the playoffs coming in March. But your home for the World Cup 2026 is right here on Stateside Footy. So make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. As we kicked off here in the second half with Manchester United now playing from right to left, and it looks like Lamans will boot this one long as it falls to a central area, tap forward, and it looks like Maguire's trying to play this one forward, and Spurs do not come down with it. It was Cunha, and that ball's taken away. And now Manu will play it forward. And that gets cleared as Xavi tried to get a handle on it, but that gets tapped back. And it looks like it's Harry Maguire there to corral that ball. And now automatically Manchester United are pushing forward off that right-hand side. As that ball gets played back. Let's see. Hayden Hackney is driving Middlesbrough in the Prem. I think he'd do a good job for us if Basuma and Polina go. I wouldn't mind having Hayden Hackney. I also wouldn't have a problem with Aiden Morris as well too. Don't forget the American holding midfielder that plays for Middlesbrough. That's a fun team, by the way. He also says when you hit 1,000 subs, I want to hear a 1K rap to celebrate. I got you, my friend. I can white rap with the best of other white boys. As the ball gets played forward off the right-hand side, there's a ball in, and it's going to get cleared out, and that'll be a United throw-in. Seriously. You ever seen anybody rap like they're sour cream? Yeah, that's me, man. Steve Doggy Dog. Carl, dude, you cracked me up, Carl. As that ball will get played out, it looks like Casemiro is going to try to play one forward, but there was Vicario. And Vicario is quick trying to play it down, but he puts it into no man's land. And Manchester United will take the possession right back as Manu now is going to try to play one forward, finds Mbemo. Mbemo again with a heavy touch, and Spurs will come away with it. As that one will make its way to Van de Ven to the left. And now Van de Ven's going to have to play one forward. He does. Find Xavi. And Spurs need to do themselves a favor and push forward as much as they possibly can. Just like this one right here. It's Papsar around the corner. And Papsar. Oh, they're going to say the foul on Papsar. Good Lord. As he looks like they got, okay. Papsar ended up getting Delo right there. All right, fair. As United will have the possession here after the restart. Spurs only trail by one. Still very much into this. A good counterattack gets them right back into this one. As Gallagher did a really good job right there against Martinez. But United will still hold possession as Harry Maguire now will play it off to Delo. Delo's going to play one forward. He does a very good job. Here's the ball that's back to Mbemo. Good defense right there. Oh, and United just... Yeah, he's offside. There you go. I was going to say, no, United just didn't score again. As it looks like Ahmed was offside, so Spurs dodged and pulled it. As they did a very good job right there of closing down the box. But then there was a ball that went to the opposite side. Luke Shaw was there. And Archie Gray was behind the ball, but Ahmed was offside. So the score still remains 1-0. And Spurs are going to have to keep it right here. They go down 2-0. This thing is over. They're still very much alive. For those that are tuning in, Spurs trail 1-0 on a goal by Brian Mbemo off a set piece. Prior to that, Christian Romero gets sent off with a straight red against Casemiro in a tackle that was incredibly late. So from that standpoint, Spurs have been playing a man down. As it looks like in total, they'll be essentially playing a man down for a complete hour, but as United will hold possession. And there's a shot on net. And that was Casemiro again from outside, but right there was Vicario. Casemiro is just he likes those outside shots there. It was in traffic too. As Van de Ven now will play this forward, looking for Dominic Solanke. The only thing he found was Harry Maguire, but Xavi does a good job here. All of a sudden, Spurs have a little something here. As Conor Gallagher now will lay this off to Destiny Udogie. They got numbers forward. Here's Papsar, who's going to play this all the way to the right. Here's Archie Gray. And Gray, instead of pushing forward, will play it all the way back. And Spurs now are just conceding valuable real estate. As it looks like Luke Shaw now will dink that one out of bounds. So this will be a Spurs throw-in. Archie's got to push forward there. It was 1v1, and he had Akers in front of him. And he instead of pushing forward, he holds the ball back up as the ball will come down as there was no whistle, as Solanke was absolutely brought down. United will hold possession. As that's a good takeaway. Off the left-hand side, as the ball floats centrally, and it looks like Paulinho was looking for Gallagher right there. As Papsar now is going to try to play it up the left-hand side. That pass was nowhere near anyone. As that goes out, and Spurs again concede possession. It looks like they're trying to be a little bit too perfect. Looks like they might be pressing a little bit. So coming up for the Spurs on February the 10th, it'll be Newcastle. 12 days later, it's the second leg of the North London Derby. Of course, I will be at the stadium for that one. And, looking forward to it, guys. It's my first North London Derby in person, and, it's going to be excellent. Looking forward to it. All you guys that are based in London, man, get at me, man. We'll get together for a pre-game pint. Let me know. Multiple ways to get a hold of me, by the way. And for those that want to know, I'm pretty much everywhere. On X at Stateside Footy, on Instagram at Stateside Footy 76, and on TikTok at Stateside Footy. Multiple ways to get a hold of me. By the way, and it looks like Spurs had a man down here. As we are now in the 53rd minute. And it looks like Udogie is up. And Udogie can't come out. He's going to have to shake this one off. Or is this where we see João Souza? Yeah, here he comes. The Brazilian. So it looks like we're going to see our first glimpse at João Souza, the young Brazilian that came through the door in early January. There he is. All right. So in the 54th minute, 54 and a half, will be the debut of the young Brazilian, the 19-year-old Brazilian, João Sousa. All right. I'm looking forward to this. Thomas Frank. Bring it on the youngster. Let's see. Whatever you do, don't get a half and half scarf at the North London Derby yet. No. There will be no Gooner red on my scarf. As play has restarted here, as it looks like it's going to be Martinez now. He's going to try to play one forward. Good deflection right there by Conor Gallagher. As there was a nice little runner right there. As that ball going to pop forward, but it was more clearance than anything else. As United again will hold possession in Spurs territory. Here's a Bemo. There's a shot that's going to take a deflection. As Conor Gallagher is going to try to play it to himself, but there is a whistle, and it looks like it's going to go, against Luke Shaw? Good ball movement between United right there at the top of the 18-yard box. Good defense right there by Mickey Van de Ven for that deflection. As we are now in the 56th minute, and I do want to thank the 1,800 of you guys that are tuning in. I do appreciate it. And, of course, Mr. Carl Slim Blue and Martin Knightbridge in the chat. You guys are awesome. As here's a shot right there. Xavi taking a quick shot at the top of the 18 with his left foot. And it just went wide left. Ooh, Xavi nearly equalized. And he had Lammens beat, too. Oh. Again, that's Spurs' first real chance, real look at net since Conor Gallagher in the first half. So it's been far and few in between for Spurs when it comes to big chances. As Vicario now. We'll play this out. As Archie Gray now will play this forward, finds Xavi, as that ball is going to get played forward, takes a hit off of Conor Gallagher. Here's Xavi, and he's going to get the whistle. So this will be a Spurs free kick in a very good area. As we see it again, Xavi pushing forward, and it looks like that's going to go against Martinez right there. And he did clip his back foot. So Spurs have the opportunity here. Can they draw even? Here's Xavi now taking the free kick. The arm comes up. There's the ball. It's going to go to the back post. Headed forward. And here's Solanke doing a really good job. And Lammens will come down to it. Solanke did a very good job of getting that ball in a dangerous area, but Lammens comes out and makes a good little collection right there. So here comes United. As Shaw will play it out to Fernandez. And now that ball will go forward. And Conor Gallagher does a great job right there of playing that one out. No, excuse me. It was João Palhinha. As United now is going to try to play it down the right-hand side. Good play right there by Sousa. As Sousa does a really good job right there with the ball. As United will try to hold possession. As that will make the switch. Looks like it's Luke Shaw. Shaw's going to take a rip. And that's a good save right there from Vicario. As he had the window right there to make that shot. It was a good shot, by the way. Good save right there by Vicario. And you wonder at some point whether they're just going to stick Archie Gray and just get forward, Archie Gray on the back three and get forward and potentially use Van de Ven in a forward position. It wouldn't strike me as odd, considering that's what Frank did at Burnley. As there's a shot, that's another good save right there. As Sousa makes a deflection, and now United is going to have to chase this. But right now, United is peppering Spurs goal. Very good, high quality shots. Vicario is doing a good job with it as well. As United now will work it down the right-hand side again. Here's Ahmed. As Sousa comes out to defend. And Xavi nearly picked one up, but there is a whistle. If you guys remember to that Burnley match late, they dropped Archie Gray into the back three, and they put Christian Romero on that forward line. And, of course, he headed home the equalizer. It'd be kind of interesting to see if that is something that Thomas Frank would do in a later portion. Just move Van de Ven to the forward line and try to play for the equalizer. As looks like Van de Ven potentially did get whistled right there on the set piece. But here we go. United's got a set piece here. As that ball is going to go in. Back post, headed across. And Spurs do a really good job at deflecting that. Again, open side at the far post. Spurs come up big when it comes to the deflection. And United will hold this possession here. As here's Manu. Here's Cunha. Laid it off to Shaw off the left-hand side. Defended by Gray. And now they're going to try to circle this one back to the left-hand side. As Cunha will lay it off to Shaw. Defended by Gray, who comes out. Oh, that's a good little sliding tackle right there by João Palhinha. But here comes United again off the right-hand side. Ahmed will play it forward. As Bruno will play one in. Vicario comes out and grabs it. Good play right there by Vicario. Let's see. Come on, Sousa. Come on. As Vicario did a fantastic job. So here's the reset off the goal kick. As Spurs are still trying to build out of the back. And that's taken away by Shaw, but it will take a deflection. So this will be a United throw in here. Yeah, you wonder with Radu, and it'll be a free kick again. With Radu now on the back line, you wonder if they just send Palhinha and Van de Ven forward, as it looks like that might have been Conor Gallagher that got Matías Cunha. There it was. So again, United will have a free kick in a dangerous area from about 25 yards out off the right-hand side. As Bruno will take this free kick. As we are approaching the 65th minute. As that will go through and it takes the deflection out. So this will be a United throw-in, as Pap Sarr was the one to make sure that went out. So Fernandez will throw this in. As Xavi does a good job of breaking it up, but that'll go out again. Spurs are still in it. Thomas Frank is going to have to get creative here on his counterattack. If Spurs are trying to play their way back into it. As this ball gets played up the right-hand side. Good cut in. Nearly taken away. As that was Mickey Van de Ven to break it up. 25 minutes remaining in this one. Spurs only still down a goal, as they've done a good job defensively to limit Manchester United. As that one will make its way out to the left to Luke Shaw. Here's Mbemo. As Mbemo will turn and fire this one out to Menu. Here's Martinez. Playing into Mbemo, who automatically goes out to Luke Shaw. That's a good ball in. Oh, and Mbemo was right there. As we see this again on the replay, as Cunha played one in, it looks like it was Papsar that kind of deflected it back into Vicario. And Spurs will have possession here. Here's Dragusin. And there's a ball in. There's a good ball in. And there's going to be a whistle. This time against Martinez. Against Dominic Solanke. So here's the quick restart. And it's Zhao. As Dragusin will play it all the way back to Van de Ven. And Van de Ven will play it off to the left. Here's João Souza. As Papsar will play it into Dragusin. And now it's Van de Ven. And Spurs are getting pressured here. As Archie Gray is going to have to play this back to Vicario. And Vicario coughed it up in a dangerous area. There's a ball off to the right. Inside, and there's the second goal. Or was he offside? Oh, he was offside. Cunha. As Vicario just misplayed the ball. Oh, yeah, he actually was on that start of that sequence. Yeah, he was 100% offside. Oh, dodged a bullet again. As we were approaching the 68th minute. As Vicario wasn't necessarily even under pressure. He just made a bad pass into a bad area. So this will be a free kick, and it'll be Vicario. As that's going to go down the right-hand side. Trying to find Solanke. Headed forward, but right down to Papsar. And it's Draga. Draga, Sheen. Here's Archie Gray. Try to tip forward. And there's a foul. That looked like it was Conor Gallagher. Yeah, I kind of like Conor Gallagher. And Thomas Frank has got his tactics board out there. Going it over with Heitzinga. As Spurs will come away with this one. As Van de Ven is in trouble here. It was just a bad pass. That's a good tip forward. Here's Souza. As Souza's trying to race. He's doing a good job. Oh. Souza did a good job of pushing. Except his cross was deflected, but Spurs will come away with the ball. And there's a yellow card against Chapelinia. They're saying he pushed. Oh, no. Okay. So this is A ball that he won clean against Manu. All right. Not exactly the right call, but okay. As the restart will have to go back to Maguire. And we're off again. As this one will go down the right-hand side. Oh, and Sousa just got burnt. But that's a good way to recover, though. As Ahmed beat him clear around the corner. And Sousa came in with a nice little slide to force Ahmed into an off-balance shot there. And there was Vicario. That one will go off of Van de Ven. So this will be another United corner. As Brian Mbemo will take this one. As we have now reached the 70th minute. As that ball will go in. Not exactly the greatest corner. Easily defended. But United will hold possession here. Here's Martinez. Here's Bruno off the left-hand side. Bruno cuts on his foot, on his strong foot, and that's cleared. And here's Solanke, who's going to take this one away. Here's Xavi. And that ball gets out, so I think this will be a Spurs throw-in. As this will be a Spurs throw-in. And it looks like here in the 72nd minute, it looks like Carrick is going to make his first switch here in just a few moments. As Radu Dragishin will have the long throw. As that'll drop down. As it's cleared, but it's held in by Spurs. Spurs will continue to hold it in as Xavi is trying to get around. That's going to go to the backside, and it'll completely sky Polina, but he races there to keep it in. And he falls off. He falls off the playing surface there onto the bricks as he was trying to hustle to keep that ball in. But United now will have possession as it moves its way down the right-hand side. As Delo will take it in. And he's going to play one in, but it's going to take a deflection. But he collects his own. Delo collects his own deflection. Here's Casemiro, as Martinez will play one in. Here's Shaw on the left-hand side. As it's Kobe Manu. As Casemiro will try to flick one in. As Mbemo made the outside run, but right there was Vicario. As, they were trying to do a little give and go between him and Brian and Mbemo, but here's Van de Ven. He's got space. And Van de Ven's taking the ball forward. And there's a foul right there on Delo. So this will be a free kick for Spurs. And that's what I want to see in these next 15 minutes. More Van de Ven making runs. As it looks like United will make their first switch as Cunha comes off. And coming on is Benjamin Šeško. As Spurs have yet to really make a second half switch. As looks like United is bringing on a fresh attacker here to try to get the second goal and try to kill this game off. Sesko was awesome in Germany. He really was. As Xavi will have the free kick. He's going to play this one in. It'll drop. And it gets cleared. Now all of a sudden there's a foot race. Oh, great job right there by Souza. As there was a ball that was immediately tried to play forward. Spurs will hold possession here. And now Souza's on the overlap with Xavi. And Papsar. Ooh. Xavi kept it in. Papsar with not exactly the greatest entry pass right there, but here comes United now, and they got numbers. And Van de Ven, again, a good defensive block right there from Mickey. And now this ball is going to have to get cleared. As that ball will get switched to the left-hand side. Here's Mbemo. As that'll find Kobe Manu. Here's Casemiro. As that'll find Ahmed on the right-hand side. As that ball gets played back. And it looks like they're trying to find that inlet to Benjamin Šeško. Here's Luke Shaw. As that ball will find Brian Mbemo on the inlet. That's going to take a deflection by Papsar. As it looks like Carl Slim Blue says, I feel like there's another goal in this game. Yeah, I agree. And now all of a sudden, Spurs looks like they're going to make a triple change here. As it looks like Yves Bissouma, Rando Kolo Muani, and I think a youngster is coming in. Big platform for any youngster coming in at Old Trafford. As Bruno will have the corner here. That ball will go in. Came down short and was immediately headed away. Here's Bruno. And that ball is going to get played into the box. Immediately, it's going to have to get played back, and it finds Martinez. Actually, it's Harry Maguire. As now here's Luke Shaw. Lays it off. Was that Benjamin Šeško? There's a shot on right there as Vicario. And here comes Spurs. Quick attacking. It looks like there's Souza. As that gets played all the way to Draga. Draga, Sheen. As Papsar playing off the Mickey Van de Ven. As we are now in the 78th minute. 11 minutes left in regulation plus extra time. Spurs do still have time to draw level. Defensively speaking, they've been pretty good. Haven't conceded a goal through the run of play. Conceded one off a set piece. As that ball gets out, and they're going to say United. And it looks like Souza is holding his face. As we see it again, yeah, he took a little pop right there by Luke Shaw. Right in front of the ref, too. Okay. So here it comes. No, it looks like it's Matisse Tell, actually. So Solanke will come off. And Rando Kolo Muani comes on. Polinia comes off. And here comes Matisse Tell. And Gallagher is coming off for Yves Bissouma. So Spurs make the triple change in the 80th minute. And we will see how these changes will play, if there's going to be a tactical change here. As here comes United now up the right-hand side. Here's Mbemo. As they're going to have to play this one back. As there's a ball in. Oh, and there it is. As Bruno Fernandes will tap in for number 2. And you're absolutely right, Carl. There was a second goal coming. And there it was. And that was a good ball into the far post for Bruno. As we will find out who was supposed to be, who let Fernandes open right there at the back post. As we see it again, it looks like Delo was playing one in. Everybody was onside. Oh, Archie Gray. Archie Gray lost Fernandes. And he just gets it past Vicario. So there it is. There is the dagger in the 81st minute. Heartbreaker. But then again, it shows you the level of talent Spurs are in, and whether or not they're going to be able to overcome adversity in tough moments, right? Romero goes off, and then how do you respond? And this is just the character. Oh, here's Mbemo. And that ball's going to get cleared, as there was a turnover. As looks like United's looking for 3. Character's a strong word, because we saw it last week in their ability to flip the switch and play with intensity to get a draw. And so you were wondering if those same characteristics were going to come into play after the red card. And sure enough, the answer is no. And it's United's got the man advantage, but that still doesn't matter. They can still get forward and still try. There's a ball. That'll be errant here. Here's Souza. And Spurs are pinned back. As that'll be a ball out to the right. Archie Gray is going to give it a chase. And Gray will try to ping it forward. United will take this ball back. Oh, nice move by Bruno. Trying to leave it forward. And now that ball is going to get cleared. Yeah, I mean, it's about how you respond. Are you going to let it drag you down? Are you going to use excuses? Or are you still going to try to fight and get forward? What is the motivation, or do you just give up? They were only down by 1 for a long portion of this game, and really only had one opportunity, and that was Xavi's little shot. But outside of that, they just weren't committed to getting players forward. And right there is your your that is right there is the message being relayed from your coach. Don't commit numbers. Don't leave yourself open to the back. And maybe we'll get a counterattacking opportunity as Randall Colomwani just lost the ball right there. There's a ball into the back post. There's a shot by Mbemo. He was open. And I think this is going to get out for a corner. As Ahmed with a nice little tip right there to Mbemo. Oh, and he just missed it. Okay. Five minutes remain, as this will be a goal kick for the Cario. Can Spurs get at least one back? Yep. 100%, Martin. 100%. That is the message that is being relayed in from Thomas Frank. Don't allow yourself to be open at the back. Don't do anything that's considered risky. And so that's exactly what they did. They sat back. It's like you're not going to be able to, you're not going to be able to get yourself into the game by literally just bunkering and only getting two attackers forward. It doesn't necessarily work out that way. Like, you actually have to be brave. And here's the interesting thing is you saw the defensive intensity with Mickey Van de Ven and Radu Dragusin. Like, they were not allowing players to get over the top on them. You can get numbers forward and still be able to be defensively resolute. And all you needed was one. As it looks like Mazraoui is coming on for Shaw, and it looks like Mbemo's coming off as well too. And it's going to be Joshua Zirkzee coming on for Mbemo here in the 87th minute. Let's see. The momentum's going in the wrong direction. Romero now banned for 3 games. Udogie looked uncomfortable going off. I bet he's not available next game. They say bad things come in threes. Yeah, 100%. And it's what's even more depressing is the fact that we don't have our captain for the North London Derby. And we got to deal with this, for Newcastle as well after this one. So, as it looks like United's taken all 3 of these points. And it just burns me up, man. It really burns me up that there was just no bravery. You saw how defensively resolute that we were in the second half. Mickey Van de Ven played a hell of a game. Driver Dragison's actually been pretty good. Same thing with Polina. You have a 3 that won't be caught out as that'll go back to Bruno Fernandes as he tries to play one forward. That's going to go out for a corner. You have 3 defenders that are absolutely resolute. You can get numbers forward. All you're playing is you're only playing for 1 goal. And the fact that I think we only have 1 shot in the second half. Yeah. It's absolutely shambolic. And I understand, man, you're down. It's not ideal. Your captain gets thrown out. And it puts you behind the 8 ball, but that still does not mean that you're not even going to try for the draw. Do you think Frank takes the captaincy off Romero now? That's a great question. I don't think so, because of the fact that Romero is a powerful influence in that locker room. I don't think so. Van de Ven will carry it for the next 3. As that ball is nearly taken away. Here's Archie. As Xavi tried to flick it, and that's going to go out, and that'll be a United throw-in. So as we are just winding down the final couple seconds here of the 90, and we'll find out how much extra time we will have. And it's just, it's just kind of a sad, reality. So 5 minutes of extra time. That this is what Spurs have been reduced to. Being a laughing stock as that ball makes its way over to the far post and it's going to get cleared. That this is the laughing stock that we've been reduced to, where our coach is not setting ourselves up to win ball games. We're literally every single week we're playing for a draw. As that ball is going to sky over the crossbar, as Bruno Fernandes completely just shanked that one. It's like it's in these moments that you actually find, what certain people are made of. When there is adversity, you get a really good idea. And yeah, it's not ideal. But that being said, it's not like you were down 3 or 4, where okay, cool, you're just going to bunker the rest. You're going to bunker the rest of the way. As it looks like Ahmed's coming off here for United. As the 3 points are secure. Actually, it was Mainu. As Fletcher will step in. We're only down by a goal, and the game is still salvageable at that point. And we didn't even call off the dogs. The dogs weren't even in the building. And if you're thinking about the whole Thomas Frank conversation, this is precisely why I don't want not Connor Gallagher, Thomas Frank is our coach long term, because of this right here. And you can use all the excuse in the world about injuries, blah 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 blah. But when your back is against the wall, what is your attitude? And the attitude is, we're just going to give up. On to the next. And as far as I'm concerned, that's a loser's mentality. So, yeah. What has Thomas Frank ever won? At least with Postecoglou, there were trophies in the cabinet. Same thing with Mourinho and Conte. As we are now in the 93rd minute, so 2 minutes left before this monstrosity ends. Yeah. Well, yeah, I hate to, I'm always up for Spurs to prove me wrong. I'll just say that. A lot of my friends on, different podcasts were predicting a Spurs win today. I actually had this 3-1 United, and wasn't too far off from that. It's Thomas Frank. He just continues to disappoint. Oh, that's a good move. As Tell gets around, but that ball gets blocked. Oh. Yeah, so we're just winding off the rest of the time here. Let's see who fights for it. As that ball comes back. And here comes Tell. And that ball takes a deflection. Jesus. You're trying to take a shot between two defenders. As there's going to be a whistle here. So we're about 30 seconds away from the entire 95. As Basuma now will hold, plays it forward. Kolomwani gets dumped. And here comes United. Here's Bruno. Tipped it. And Sesko just plays it right into Vicario. Good Lord, Sesko was wide open. And there's your whistle. As Manchester United will take all three here. And they're sitting in fourth place on 44 points, and Spurs are stuck on 29 as they are even on points with Crystal Palace and Leeds. Unbelievable. All right. So let's go ahead and get into the full-time stats here. As Manchester United will easily take the possession battle, 65-35. XG 1.79 to 0.49 for Spurs. Total shots 23 for United, 7 for Spurs. Shots on target 10-1. Big chances 3-1. Big chances missed 2-1. All for United. Accurate passes 567 to 276. Fouls committed United 12, Spurs 11. Corner 7-0. We didn't even work a corner today. XG from open play 1.24 for United, 0.49 for Spurs. Of course, we didn't have a corner, so there was no set play, as United was 0.55. Non-penalty XG 1.79 to 0.49. And XG on target 1.56 to 0.19. As we dig deeper into the shots, block shots, United 6, Spurs 5, shots inside the box 10-4 United, shots outside the box 13-10, 13-3. Good Lord. Passes total 633 for United, 335 for Spurs. Passes in the own half 203 to 158 United. Passes in the opposition half 365 to 118. Accurate long ball, Spurs 17, United 12. Accurate crosses 4-4. Throws 18-8 United. Touches in the opposition box 37-17. And offsides, Spurs 1. Yellow card, Spurs 2, United 1. And of course, we have the red card. Defensively, United wins the tackle battle 17-16. Interceptions 9-5 Spurs, blocks 6-5 Spurs, clearances 30-11, and keeper saves 8-1, all going to Spurs. And in the duel department, United wins that battle 44-38. Ground duels 36-34, aerial duels 8-4, and successful dribbles 8-6, all to United. And it paints the accurate picture, but I get back to the seminal moment. Okay, the seminal moment in this match is the Romero red card, and yes, don't get me wrong, it's bullshit, right? It was just a bad play with a player that knows, that knows better. And from that standpoint, it puts the entire team behind the eight ball, and this is where you find out if your team is resolute. You find out exactly how they respond. And they did not respond. Now, a lot of it has to do with the messaging that's coming in for your coach. And the message was, don't take risk. Take risk out of the equation. So you're just going to play, you're going to play 9 behind the ball. And that's what we saw. Essentially a 4-4-1 behind the ball. And of course, then we concede possession. And then at that stage, we're going to have to pick and choose how we're going to get forward. But we're only down a goal. We're not down 3, where the game is essentially over. And it doesn't, you're not going to commit. We're only down by 1. We're still in it. But the messaging was essentially to bunker. So whenever we did get forward, it was like 3 defenders versus 5. And that's just no way to score a goal. So from that standpoint, that second half was absolute trash. There was no bravery. There was no will to get forward. There was nothing. And again, that is one of the biggest issues that I have with the fact that, that's the essential. It's like, all right, well, this game is over. And it's like, we still have an entire half to play. And so from that standpoint, you're kind of looking at it like, this is your coach, man. This is the guy who essentially has the loser's mentality. It's like, it doesn't matter how many players on the field. You still have a game to play. You still have an opportunity to at least salvage something. That wasn't it today. Say what you will, even under Ange Postecoglou, when we went down in these type of situations, we still got forward. There's still an opportunity. Conte, Mourinho, Pochettino, Yol, Redknapp. Yeah. But that's Thomas Frank. That is your head coach. And instead of trying to figure out a way to get back into this game, they just conceded 3 points. All right, on to the next. It's Newcastle. So that is where it's at. So let's go ahead and take a look at the matches around the Premier League today. As Leeds United beats Forest 3-1, and kicking off in just a little bit, Fulham will take on will host Everton. Burnley hosts West Ham, and of course that's kind of a big one for West Ham as well too. As they've actually hit a nice little run of form, winning 2 out of their last 3. And if they pick up that win today against Burnley, now they're only 3 points. They're only 3 points off 3 points below the drop, and anything can pretty much happen at that stage. So that's kind of a big one. Let's see. Arsenal will host Sunderland. Wolves will host Chelsea. Bournemouth will host Villa, which is actually kind of a big game for us as well too. If Bournemouth are able to to separate, Newcastle will host Brentford. Brighton will host Crystal Palace in the M23 derby, and if Palace come out on top on this one, we then move to 15th place, and then Liverpool hosts Man City tomorrow. So that is your table. And, kind of a letdown, just considering that, I think a lot of Spurs fans were looking at this as an opportunity because, Man United, outside of the win earlier this year, or that draw earlier this year, has kind of, we've kind of been a bogey team for both Manchester squads. It doesn't matter necessarily where we play them. We always seem to either, figure out a way to get a draw or just outright beat them. And that wasn't the case today. And I mean, granted, you're talking about 2 different teams that are going in a different direction. Ever since Carrick took over, they've gotten the new manager bounce, but they're going to finish in a European place. A year after we played them in the Europa League final, they were 15th last year, and you saw what they did in the summer. They were able to fill into some of their gaps, and as soon as they got a coach that was actually going to play them how they were designed to play, and then all of a sudden you saw that team was like a light switch. They just all of a sudden turned on, and now they're just getting results where Spurs are having trouble building a squad, not just in terms of our starting 11, but also in terms of squad depth as well too. And so we are where we're supposed to be. Believe that. Injuries aside, we are exactly where we're supposed to be. So it's unfortunate. That's exactly what it is. So, well, on to Newcastle, and we'll see if it gets better. But I think we also know that answer as well too. It probably won't turn until after Arsenal, where we get Fulham, where we get Crystal Palace, and we get some of our our nearest competitors in the table. There is then the opportunity to get points, but outside of that, it's the Champions League in March, And who knows exactly how that's going to play out. But, you know, if you guys are looking for hope, I guess that's the only thing left to cling. But you know, if these results don't turn, yeah, we'll probably see a coaching change. So it is what it is. Yeah, God, I'm absolutely disappointed with this game. It's not even the loss; it's the, you know, not even wanting to dare to get forward, and that for me is the. It's such a defeatist mentality. I swear to God. You know, and like, listen, I get it. I get it. Certain things happen in the course of a football match where, yeah, you're going to face adversity. And once Romero goes out, how are you going to respond? What is the response? Are you going to get forward? You're still in it. And here on TikTok, it looks like it's Coys across the lane says, "Yeah, I miss Ange. Such a shame. We should have pushed on, but FFS, for fuck's sake, what are we doing?" Yeah, 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 and you're absolutely right. We were good before the red. We were building into we were actually building into the match at that point, and of course everything turned on a dime. But still, they score 10 minutes later off a set piece, but we were just a goal down for a good 50 minutes. And we're not, we're still into it. So how do you respond? Are you going to commit numbers forward to try to even this game out and then bunker and try to hold on for a 1-1 draw? Or are you just going to tuck your tail and run? And that's exactly the response that we got. We weren't committing numbers forward. And it's Thomas Frank's old motto where you don't want to risk. You don't want to risk opening yourself up at the back. Even though Mickey Van de Ven and Dragishin actually were playing pretty well, Polina is playing pretty well. You don't have to worry about balls going over the top or some quick counter, because we're actually in a good position, and we can actually get forward and commit numbers forward and take our chances to try to get a set piece. Absolutely. And you're absolutely right, Coy's across the lane. You're absolutely right. The mindset was clear. Yeah, get numbers forward, because you never know. We might be able to work a corner, and from that standpoint, we're actually pretty good at scoring from set pieces. So exactly how it was going to play. And here's the crazy thing. It's like Coy's across the lane goes on to say, "Yet those 3 subs changed absolutely nothing." It wasn't necessarily the 3 subs; it was the timing of the 3 subs. And those subs came late. Like, they should have came a little bit earlier, especially if you're bringing on speed like Matisse Tell. Like, I think he brought him in with 10 minutes to play. It's completely useless at that point. And I was saying it in the middle of this. I was saying it right in the middle as they started the second half. You wonder if he was going to set Mickey Van de Ven up to the forward line. We did that against Burnley, and it's you drop Archie Gray into the back 3 with Dragusin and Polina, and you just send Mickey forward with his size, pace, and speed. The only way you're bringing him down is with a slide tackle. But that being said, his ability on the ball, and all of a sudden, maybe we actually can work a corner and put him in a position to score the equalizer. But that wasn't the case. Thomas Frank and his risk-averse style of football and the messaging was garbage. Let's see. Coys across the lane says, besides the game, Udogi going out again. No true update on Kulu and everything else. Yeah, actually, what's interesting is that there was a Thomas Frank gave an update. I think it was in early January where Kulusevski had to get a shot, and then of course the evaluation was 3 to 4 weeks later. We'll know, and we're obviously past that point now. and there's still no word. So the injury it looked like it was a kneecap injury, and the kneecap itself is stable, but there's just pain, and they're not going to take it. Like if they wanted to, he could train, but they want to make sure that he's pain free, and so this thing is just going to be as long as it's necessary, so he can actually return to the training pitch pain free. So there is no set timetable. I would probably assume that James Madison will be back before Kulusevski, and it's looking like he's training on the ball now. So who knows exactly how that's going to be? Maybe the end of March we get Madison back, which would be a huge boost, but you never know. Coyce across the lane said, heard it's just a weird, freaky injury, but who knows? Just sad. Such a waste of a season. Yeah, 100%. 100%. But that being said, that's what you get with Johan Lang. Johan Lang is probably the worst, director of football in the Premier League. The idea that nobody in Europe was available, nobody on the forward line, that you can identify to bring in. So Lookman wasn't somebody that you didn't think can come here and do a job. You're good enough for Atletico Madrid, but not good enough for Spurs. Come on, get out of here, man. Get out of here. The reality was they put all their eggs in the Semenyo basket and, wasted a good week and a half, 2 weeks trying to chase Semenyo, who they knew wasn't going to come here. Was the exact same thing that happened in the summer with Morgan Gibbs-White and Everett Eze. And net spend of what, 17 million pounds? Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, but by the way, apparently apparently Coy's across the lane. Apparently, we had this war chest, 150 million pound war chest. Yeah, okay. That's the thing. It's like I'm fully expecting Thomas Frank not to be the coach next season. Like, he's probably going to get the rest of the season because the people that run this team are complete cowards and are afraid to pull the trigger, whether it's because of the money or whether because they can't identify a caretaker. Even though that for a 3.5-4 month job, you can bring back Harry Redknapp for 3 months and just let him manage his heart out. And yeah, I know he's 78, but you're not asking him to rebuild the foundation. You're just asking him to keep the team up for 3 months. And instead of doing that, you're leaving the club to a guy that does not necessarily have the respect of his players and also doesn't have control of his players. And of course, then you see what happens today too. And I fully expect him to go. I fully expect there to be a new manager in place for next season. And if that's Pochettino, that's fine. Whoever it is, Johan Lang cannot be in charge of recruitment, period. Because the same problems are going to arise. Mm-hmm. He literally cannot negotiate and sell this club to senior players that are in their prime or that have that Champions League experience or whatever the case may be. Connor, by the way, Conor Gallagher came to Spurs because he was a fringe player at Atletico Madrid. If he was actually starting and was a valuable piece to Atletico Madrid, he doesn't come. But he was on the peripheral of that roster, and it made sense for him to come because he gets to play so he could work himself back into the England picture for this upcoming World Cup. That's why he was willing to come. But if it was the other way around, he's not coming. He's not coming. Like, it wasn't a hard sell to get Conor Gallagher. But to a guy like Antoine Semenyo, who's playing for Bournemouth and is making his first step up to a big club, and it didn't matter how much money, he just wasn't going to come. he's not going to commit years to Tottenham Hotspur right now. Looks like Dan Davenport says, let's see, he said, dreadful performance from us again. Yep. What about Marco Silva? Can he do a job for Spurs? Yeah, listen, man. I want a coach that is a proven winner. I want a coach that knows how to rebuild the foundation and also can communicate with his director of football accurately to make sure that the profile of player that we get fits his strong suits. And if that's Pochettino, then 100%. I don't want to take any more coaches that are making their first step up to a big club. Unfortunately, we've been burned twice with Postecoglou and Frank. And Marco Silva, by the way, I like Marco Silva, and I do like his style of football, but listen, there's just no. I like Silva, but I think he's where he's supposed to be at Fulham. I think that is the right fit, and I don't know, maybe he resigns. I don't know. But that being said, it's like, come the summertime, there's going to be a wide scope of very good coaches that are going to be available, whether that's Thomas Tuchel, whether that's Nagelsmann, whether that's Pochettino, there's going to be options. And if this ownership group is committed to what they're saying and they're willing to wipe the slate clean, then do it. Enough talking, just do it. And that means Johan Lang is gone, his technical staff is gone, and Thomas Frank is gone, and you hire a director of football that has history and success of building at big clubs, that has won things, and you allow him to make the manager decision. That's it. All right, so let's go. He said spot on too, even with the Tell deal. If it wasn't for Lange wouldn't have convinced him. Yeah, well, that's where he should have been fired, right there. Now they got him at the end of the window, but early, when they were trying to get him, Lange couldn't convince him. So he had Daniel Levy go to Germany to try to try to talk to him. And it was Ange Postecoglou right at the end. And that's right there is when Johan Lang should have been fired. 100%. If you can't sell the club to a youth player, a young player, which is what your strong suit is supposed to be, no. If you can't convince youth, then you're completely useless. And says, like Thomas Frank also said. So Coy's across the lane says Thomas Frank also said in January that they have their targets and they'll be early. Yeah, how did that work out? What I find laughable is the comment that there's going to be £150 million war trust. Why are you talking about how much money that you have available? All that does is drive up the price on you and lets everybody know that you're desperate. And then when Vinny Venkatesham also comes out on the heels of the Burnley match, when there was a change for Tottenham rally, he comes out with his comments about wiping the slate clean and the wage structure changes, and it's like all it does is put more pressure on Johan Lang to get somebody through. And the funny thing was that January window when we brought Sousa in from Santos, the next target was another left back. It was what was Andy Robertson of Liverpool. That's funny. It's like they bring in this kid, and then they get him through the door, and they realize that he's not going to be capable of being a backup. So now they have to target another left back. Meanwhile, they still haven't replaced Sonny. And the interesting thing is, I got word midday on the day of the deadline. I got word that Spurs were trying to lowball Monaco. So apparently that conversation with Akalush was actually 2 weeks long. And initial contact, Monaco let him know exactly how much they were going to sell him for. And apparently Spurs were cool with it. And, they were cool with Akalush as far as his wage demands. Everything seemed like it was going to get smoothed over. All they were waiting for was Monaco to get somebody through the door, so they weren't without. That's not the reason why that deal broke down. The reason why it broke down was, foolishly, Spurs thought if they waited to the deadline that they were going to get him through the door at the valuation that they thought that he was worth. And I think it was like the same number that Ryan Cherokee came in through, right? I think Spurs valued Akaluche at that same price point. And Monaco was like, are you kidding me? We've already verbally agreed here that it was going to be 55 in that area. And now they were like, yeah, like we're only willing to pay 35. So Monaco just said, whatever, man, we'll keep him. We still have Champions League football to play. So, talk to us in the summer. And that was it. There was no loan deal. There was no potential loan setup in case some emergency break lasts and we'll get a loan deal through. Not even Raheem Sterling, which I thought was going to happen. Because, if they were desperate enough, maybe they signed, Raheem Sterling for the rest of the season and let him walk in the summer. At the very least, you got him. And it's something, but not even that. And they leave Thomas Frank twisting in the wind. They leave the players twisting in the wind. And it's unacceptable. This is really the second winter window that he's done this. So from that standpoint, Johan Lang needs to go 100%. But, and of course, it has an adverse effect on the roster as well too. And as we saw it today, the forward combination with Odebear and Solanke and Xavi is not enough, man. Thomas Frank personally wants to play a 4-2-3-1. He wants to have 3 attackers across. But what can you do? We don't have a left winger. Our left winger is playing on the right hand side. And let's see. Read this when you can. Don't have characters to send it all, but I'm waiting with bated breath. I think the fans should come together and look to take over. Well, here's the thing. Like I'm very. There has to be. I'm for the change for Tottenham protest. I really am. I don't have a problem with people protesting, especially if it's righteous. Here in the States, we have protests all the time, and they're really not all that righteous. But when it comes to this one, I can get on board with it. But the way that they did it, the way they tried to do it against the at the City game, leaving in the 70th minute wasn't feasible. And what happened was, bound to happen. Nobody got up and left. But what's funny is I was talking to Billy T about it, and I just said, why don't you organize a protest where nobody shows up? If they come to a match against Newcastle and it's like the way it was during COVID where nobody was there and you have 60,000 fans protesting outside of your stadium, that'll get their attention. Because if nobody shows up, then you don't have to pay $12 for a beer, or you don't have to fund merchandising, or whatever the case may be. That is the way that you get their attention. What's funny is I remember this happened a couple years ago here in the States. There was I don't know if you're familiar with Major League Baseball, but the Oakland A's essentially left Oakland. And they're currently playing in Sacramento, but the owner, who, by the way, owns the San Jose Earthquake, he's one of the worst owners in American professional sports, completely torpedoed a deal for a new stadium there because his whole agenda was to move him to Las Vegas, and that's going to happen. But the fans, when the fans realized what was going on, they organized a counter protest. And what they ended up doing was, for a 3-game series, they protested outside the stadium. And the interesting thing is, like, when you're watching it on TV, it's an empty ballpark. And it was a massive showing, and it shows that fans do absolutely have the power. And the only way that you're going to get this sport's attention is if something drastic happens like that, because then they're forced to actually listen. What was Billy T's reaction to the fans now showing up? That's a good question. By the way, I think next Friday Billy T will be on my program, so definitely look out for that. That's going to be on Friday, I believe, at 5:00 GMT, 12:00 Eastern, and I'll have Billy back on, and we're going to be talking about it. We're going to be talking about why it didn't work against City. If it was just as simple as we played our way back and nobody was going to leave, okay, fair. And what is the reaction to it, and what is next? Billy's a great guy, so I'll have Billy T on Friday, this upcoming Friday. So again, make sure you hit your like and subscribe buttons. All right, I think that's going to do it for me, guys, and I do want to thank Coys Around the Lane, who I'm chatting with here on TikTok Live. I want to thank Carl Slim Blue and Dan Davenport here in the YouTube chat, and I want to thank the 2,500 of you that are tuning in. I do appreciate it, and I appreciate the support here. If you could head on over to YouTube, the link is in the description, and hit that like and subscribe buttons, and also hit the notification bell. Quick notification for you guys, of course, on Tuesday. We have U.S. M&T Yanks Abroad. It is our weekly recap of U.S. men's national pool players in Europe and their weekend that was across leagues here. And then this upcoming week, obviously, Billy T will be on Friday. And on Sunday, it is the debut of MLS Moves here on Stateside Footy, as we do I guess you can say, a recap of the MLS offseason and the moves some teams make, but also a preview show as well too. And Will from MLS Moves will be here a week from tomorrow, so that's going to be awesome as well too. And I also have in the works another big guest as well too for the U.S. men's national team. So from that standpoint, there's a lot of good content coming down the pipe. So do make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, because the goal here is we just rounded 400. The goal is to get to 500 before the end of the season. And then once the World Cup shows up, that is going to be, for me, absolutely huge, because it's not only is the coverage going to be here on Stateside Footy, but it's not just the U.S. men's national team, but it's also the English national team, the Scottish national team, and Lord willing, the Irish national team as well too. And so I'm going to be doing a lot of UK coverage as well too. Because quite frankly, I got a pretty sizable UK audience, and I want to hook you guys up. And there could be some live streams involving the Netherlands as well too, because I'm kind of a closet Dutch fan. So that's going to do it for me. I want to thank you guys for tuning in, man. It's been fun. I'm sorry that Spurs disappointed, but disappointment should be nothing new at this stage. We will be back next week for the live stream, as I guess we host Newcastle United, or maybe that's I don't know. Hold on real quick. Let me find out when that one's coming down. Let's find out real quick. Yeah, it's going to be on Tuesday, February the 10th. Okay, yeah, that's a Tuesday match at 2:30. Yeah, okay. So I will not be here for the Newcastle match because it's a Tuesday, and then of course I will be in London for the North London Derby. So what I will do is I will do some stuff for TikTok, and I will do some stuff for YouTube as well too. So you guys can see the stadium, and it should be fun. So until then, thank you again, and I hope that you enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Take care, guys.